All right, so today's conversation will be about RNA, DNA, the upgrades, and there's talk about the vaccine. Talk about, I guess it's going around that the three presidents, former presidents, are going to be volunteers live on film demonstrating getting vaccinated for the coronavirus. So I want to talk about upgrading DNA. I want to talk about the future and the past converging for 2020. So the creatures that I'm working with right now were some of the original technology that we created for sustainability in whatever realm. And it can be a little confusing, but when we recognize the honeybee's potential, you can better understand the electromagnetic field of energy and what you are capable of. So this is a really big hive. There's about I'm gonna say, because we just had 3 weeks of rain, maybe 150,000 bees in this hive, and yeah. So the phone is inside the hive, and you may have heard about how technology could be affecting their navigation. I just want to remind you that your DNA is always upgrading. That's mainly going to be what this video is about. So, how are you upgrading your DNA? It's up to you. That's the big key here. So, are you operating from a secure vibration? Right? Because that's where you need to operate from, is the secure vibration. The insecure vibration, influenced by radio frequencies designed to influence insecurities, arguing, bickering, race issues, all sorts of things that we have to argue about that aren't really real. They're not really current. And yet we're still finding ourselves really in a place of arguing over this stuff. And it's designed for that. The ley lines, the grid, the magical source of information that is available to you through that grid. The bees, I don't want to say brought to you by the bees, because it's all your technology, really. But yeah. So, if you are in a place of fear with this, virus, then you may get your DNA upgrade through what they refer to as a vaccine. But remember, when you stay sovereign, when you are whole, you will no longer continue to manifest relationships to play out your trauma, keeping you in a human form. You know you're not just human. You have consciousness. So with your consciousness, what are you manifesting? Are you manifesting your healing and then subsequent DNA upgrade, so that you're not limited by this human body, right? So that's the thing here. So are you going to experience a vaccine? Or are you going to upgrade your DNA on your own? Because you can. You can. If anything is capable of anything, it's you. Because this is all you. Consciousness is not limited, even for a second. until you think it is, because it's you. So it's okay though. We get caught up in story. It's all right. We argue, we fight, we fuss. We forget to create from a place of sovereignty and freedom. We project our insecurities upon others. We lie. We manipulate. We tell stories. We make it everything outside of ourselves so we don't have to see ourselves. We blame everyone, and it causes serious delusion. And that delusion blurs the ley lines. So even still, we will say, well, that's the government. You're not wrong. You're not at all wrong. And simultaneously, it's all waiting for you to heal. When you step up, when you take your life back into your hands, when you are able to leave your body in meditation, when you are able to tap into the frequencies that are all over, and at any moment morph into whatever it is that you want to, through consciousness, through the field of energy, and then into some sort of form, you are able to manifest as you imagine. The dream state is a good way to see your potential. The dream state is your potential. So, are you going to live it? You don't have to. One way or the other, it's going to happen. It has to happen. We are passing through the portal of 2020. So, the physical manifestation of time and space. So, 2020, the paradox. Two of the exact same things, meaning completely, totally different things. How could 120 be so different, but mean the same? Or how could it look the same, but mean something so different? We are in the second part of a 20, meaning a totally different number than the other 20. So it's paradox, right? So your vision, right? That's why we kind of see it as 2020 vision, right? The paradox. What does paradox really mean? It just means that. Two things looking identical but meaning something totally different. It's all bringing us back though to this secure vibration. So if we, in the human form, as we pass through the portal of the fifth stage, this is what Dr. Rudolf Steiner talked about in the 1920s. Look him up. That's the guy that predicted in 80 years the collapse and catastrophic loss of the honeybee. Now, he's predicted many other things, so look him up and you will see that this paradox is presenting itself in such a way for you to see your limitless potential with crystal clear human vision, what you're used to. You will have to be in some strange form of denial to not give yourself the credit that you so deserve. Yeah? So that's it. That's how we practice. It's self-dialogue. So when you're in your head talking shit about other people, there's some people out there that can hear it. So now that is you as a child learning hate, and then it turns into self-hate, and all that self-hate then begins to project your reality. Then then you manifest those relationships outside of the human form into a different human form, so you can play out your childhood traumas, and that's a big deal. So we take different medicines and we start to see. But then eventually you won't need the medicines, and you could do this all in meditation. And another good, easy way, which would probably trigger some of you right now, is, let's say you were bullied as a child. You will get to the point to where you become popular, or you become the the thing that you wanted as a child, right? You become it. But you become it from a place of reaction, not secure vibration, right? So it's actually just the other side, the paradox, okay? That's where we're at, the paradox, 2020. So if you are there, you're at that crucial human form where you are finally seeing your potential, right? But you're doing it still from reaction. Now you are on the other side. And you're creating the club again. But you're part of the quote unquote cool kids now, right? Remember what it felt like to be excluded, right? Not only that, but listen to the inner dialogue of the excluders and the excludees back to your childhood. Remember that? That's an angry self-dialogue, right? You know, you were criticizing others, the way they look, the way they dress, making fun of, not making light of, but making fun of. There's a big difference, my friend. So that's where we're at. And it's such an interesting vibration because we're oops, I squished a couple of bees there. Sorry, bees. Sorry. Okay. So back to the insecure vibration. And now that you're manifesting, you see your ability and your potential to rewrite the script, right? Now you're part of the cool kids, right? And you know, you finally discovered that you are indeed special. Okay? Well, careful, okay? Because you're not. You're not. No one is. And nothing you will manifest outside yourself will make you feel special. You'll just continue to be in search of fulfillment, right? You thought you wanted that, right? But then once you have it, it doesn't fulfill you because it's still outside of you. So that's where we're at, the paradox 2020. So this RNA, you know, you need to look up what RNA is versus DNA. So as humans, we like to have simple answers and examples to explain things. So if you have DNA, let's pretend DNA is the story playing on the disc, right? Your DVD. And the infrared needle, you know, because I'm older, so we used to listen to records and shit. We had a needle, right? The needle represents the RNA, right? But because we're so high tech now, it's the infrared signal, the laser, and that is reading your DNA. But if you're coming from a place of trauma, guess what happens? Your RNA skips over your DNA because it will not read damaged programming, right? But when it skips over, you're losing yourself and still in search of, okay? So you want to heal that. So before, like Dr. Steiner talked about the different stages of healing, you will, let's see, another example is your pineal gland. You at one point started taking chaga and other mushrooms, right, to heal the calcification of that pineal gland brought on by something called fluoride. Well, let me tell you something. When you go beyond the fifth stage, well, actually, so in the third stage you discover. The fourth stage is like erasing the illusion, and the fifth stage is beginning the deeper healing, right? So when you are in between the fifth and sixth stage, you start to see that you don't need anything. That the fluoride itself is it's not real. But yes, indeed, when you were trapped inside the ley lines, without the clarity, then your vision is blurred. Your potential has a limit because you're not fully aware of the self. So then you think fluoride is damaging you, but it's really not. It's your thought that's damaging you. So yeah, you in your healing you find the alternative, and it begins your healing process. But when you get through the 5th stage, you start to see. Yeah. And then you the honeybees, yes, they have evolved to have a stinger. But why did they evolve? Why do they have the stinger? They don't need it. As you see. And it doesn't make no one special. We all have the potential because it's consciousness creating. So you made the honeybees, so commune with them if you feel like it. You made them. Alright, so that's it. Come from a place of secure vibration. When you're checking in with the quote-unquote news or media, recall that there's no need to be afraid. That your DNA is upgrading. How are you going to do that? And remember, you're a sovereign, and you are the king and queen. So come from that place. Me personally, I consider myself a royal servant. Look it up. Royal servant. You might like it. Aloha.